Calgary Today with Angela Kokott.
Brought to you by Universal Lincoln on 770 CHQR.
Time for Wine Wednesday, brought to you by Co-op Wine, Spirits, Beer. Come see them in store for more expert advice. Eric Southward, sommelier with the Crowfoot Wine, Spirits, Beer, joins us today. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Angela.
Lovely that you brought in a white because as we look at the forecast, sunny and warm for, well, the next few days. So I think this is going to be a lovely wine to drink. Tell me about the one you brought in.
Yeah, so this is from Tinhorn Creek from the Okanagan Valley. So just in Oliver, this is their Oldfield Reserve 2-bench white. It's kind of like their reserve summer wine, I guess you can say. It's made with Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, a couple other grapes in there as well, but those are the two main grape varieties. It's fresh, it's crisp, but they do put in a little oak just to give it a little more depth, a little more complexity, and it's something that if you want to impress during Stampede and serve this on the barbecue, maybe pair it with some fish, some salmon, some halibut. This would be perfect.
You'll impress your guests with that.
Yeah.
As always, we throw this up on Facebook Live, just in case you want to catch the label or you didn't hear the name of the wine. So tell me a little bit about the winery. I do know a Calgary couple, I think, was part of the beginning of this winery. Yeah,
that's right. So basically two couples started the winery in 1993. And in terms of the Okanagan, that's actually pretty old. You know, they've one of the pioneers of the southern Okanagan. And if you can make it down south of Penticton, it's a bit kind of out of the way from most of the wineries. They've got a lovely restaurant. They have a bit of an amphitheater where you can maybe watch some events and some concerts while you sip on some lovely wine. But they really focus on quality, and because they've been around for a while, this isn't a new winery. They've paid off a lot of those old debts when you start up a winery, and the wines are just good value. Like today, it's very easy to find $50, $60, $70 wines. Wow. This wine is normally $28. It's on sale for $19 this week at Coop.
So you say they're kind of away from a lot of the wineries, but they still have the same terroir or the land that makes it so great in the Okanagan to grow grapes?
Yeah, and that was part of why they ended up settling where they did. They just thought the dirt was good, you know what I mean? And it's kind of up in this area now called the Golden Mile Bench, where we've just known, partly thanks to them, we know now that this is a great place to grow grapes, and especially full-bodied reds. And we kind of crave that a lot in our market. It's freezing most of the time in this market, in our 10-month winter sometimes it seems like. And so they can make really good Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. And so they kind of were some of the first, one of the first wineries to make really good ageable reds.
It's called, did you say it's 2-bench white?
That's right.
What's the bench in reference to?
Yeah, so they have two main vineyards, and one is their home vineyard right at the winery. If you drive up, that's what you see. And that's on the Golden Mile Bench. You kind of have to drive up a little bit. But then you'll also look down kind of in the valley, which is called the Black Sage Bench. One is very rocky. That's the one by the winery. And so you're going to grow mostly grapes like Riesling and Gewürztraminer and some of the grapes that are in this wine, actually. Right. And down in the valley across the road in the Black Sage Bench, that's where you get your Merlot and your Cabernet and your Syrah. And there's a bit of Semillon there as well. And it's all sand. It's like the sandbar. And that's where you get those big full-bodied reds.
Say that grape again, Semillon?
Semillon,
another grape that I feel that we don't talk enough about. Tell me about Semillon as a grape.
Yeah, Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, they're the white grapes of Bordeaux, mainly. So if you've ever had a white Bordeaux, and we don't probably drink a lot of that in our market, but they're kind of a match made in heaven. They've been kind of blended together for a long time. So Semillon brings the heft and the body and the structure to age, and Sauvignon Blanc brings the lovely fruitiness and the crisp acid and kind of a deliciousness. So Semillon kind of gives it the bones and the structure, and Semillon just makes it great for the patio and really delicious.
Is the Okanagan crazy with wine tours and stuff like that? Is it a cool place to check out? It's been many years since I've done a wine tour in BC, but is that kind of a cool place to go?
It's a great place to go, and I think now they've been doing it for so long, it's just so much easier now. So there's kind of two major markets. You could either spend most of your time in Kelowna or in around Penticton. And the investment in the valley is insane. There's a lot of great restaurants. You can hit the lake in the afternoon when it gets too hot, right? Lovely just that they're set up to host you. And so if you want to make even just a couple days long weekend, there's a lot of great things to do in the Okanagan, and eating good food, drinking good wine, it's just always in the background, and that's always a pleasure.
I know you're not going to pick a favorite, but is the Kelowna region, do they produce better wines than Penticton, or they're all in it together?
Great question. It's just different. So I would say if you're a fan of more sparkling wines and whites, hang out in Kelowna. It's a little further north. They're not going to produce as many big, rich reds as down south. If you feel like tasting a lot of big red wine, head down to Soyuz, head down to Oliver, the shoe swap, and you can drink more big reds there.
Oh, it's just that much hotter there, and it really produces those better grapes. Absolutely. Okay, I've got to sip this. So remind me again, Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, what else do I have?
Yeah, you've got some Muscat. You've also got some Chardonnay, bit of Gewürztraminer as well. So again, there's a lot going on. You probably pick up a little oak, but not a ton. But again, just lighter, crisp. Again, it's going to be hot for Stampede. This would go down way too easily. Do
people come in and say, I'm having a Stampede party, what should I be serving my guests?
A lot of people kind of already know they want deals on really good beer, some really good rye, some really good whites and reds that they can just crush, and you know that you're getting good value on. We're ready at Co-op. We have a lot of good deals on during Stampede, so you can entertain and not break the bank.
Did you say beer and they want to get a good rye as well?
Absolutely.
Do people still do rye and Coke? How do they drink their ryes?
I think people are getting a little more savvy. Yeah. I think they're spending a little more to get a rye that's exponentially better. And they're just having it either neat or with a nice cube or two. Again, as you like, but we make great Canadian rye. And there's also really good American rye. I probably shouldn't say that. But
there's probably a huge tariff on it.
Absolutely. These days there is. And but yeah, rye is, we can make some really good whiskey in this country, and people are foregoing the Coke a little more and more.
Like it. Again, it's from Tinhorn Creek Winery. It's Tinhorn Creek Oldfield Reserve 2. Wait, tell me about the winemaker. She was one of the original...
Sandra Oldfield, I would say, and again, so her last name is a part of the name of this wine. She's just a bit of a legend, right? And so we have these pioneers that took on a lot of risk in the early days in the Okanagan when there were no grapes surrounding the winery when they planted. They had no idea if this was going to fly or not. And so now we kind of know that it's a thing. You can invest money in the Okanagan. It's not as big of a risk.
Right.
Sandra was one of the few that kind of put her money where her mouth is, so to speak, has been an ambassador for the region, both nationally and internationally. And she's won a lot of awards and kind of helped put kind of Wine Canada on the map. When
she deserves to have her name on the label.
She does. And again, can I just say too, one of those first female Canadian winemakers that, again, probably had to put up with more than she should have.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Eric, thanks so much for this.
Absolutely.
I know you're off for a couple of weeks. We'll see Mike next week. Thanks so much.
Can't wait.
Eric Southward with Co-op Wine, Spirits, Beer. Wine Wednesday brought to you by Co-op Wine, Spirits, Beer. Come see them in store for more expert advice. It's 4:17.